how your childhood experiences actually creates energies inside of you that attract being misunderstood, being dominated, being judged, being rejected, being stuck in patterns, and what you can do to actually break out of that. It can happen for every single one of you. So let's jump into how. एंड हियर्स अ मैसेज फॉर आवर हिंदी ऑडियंस. अगर आपको ये वीडियो हिंदी में देखना है, आप हमारे डिस्क्रिप्शन में जाओ, वहाँ पर आपको हमारी हिंदी चैनल दिखेगा. उस हिंदी चैनल में आप जाकर ये पूरा वीडियो हिंदी में देख सकते हैं. Hello and welcome. My name is Kartika and you're watching Synchro Shakti. Today I want to share with you how your childhood experiences actually creates energies inside of you that attract being misunderstood, being dominated, being judged, being rejected, being stuck in patterns, and what you can do to actually break out of that and create a totally different reality around your relationships, where your relationships are smooth, harmonious, understanding, and you're super valued in your relationships. It can happen for every single one of you. So let's jump into how. So to explain that to you, I'm going to take an incident from my life and I'll show you how the one incident shaped my relationships and how from that I was able to break out of it and what I did to create what I have now. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through that whole journey. So if you're ready, let's get started. So this is one story of 1,000 such stories that have happened in my life from age 0 to 12. So many experiences that make you build this thing called your core self-concept. Your core self-concept is what you've learned from very, very early experiences on how you see yourself. This is what is attracting many conflicts and many misunderstandings and many judgments as you grow older. So when you clean the core concept, you clean so much of your relational issues. So let's jump into checking that out. So the story is, I was 8 years old, Navy Public School, Delhi, and I was exiting my classroom. This was during lunch break and I had to go to this thing called remedial classes. Now remedials are for kids who cannot catch up or understand academics like the other classmates. We are kind of slow kids who needed to be taught separately. It's kind of like summer school, except it's every lunch break you go separately to one corner of the school and then the teacher tries to explain and teach the things that you couldn't otherwise understand. So I was like that as growing up. I was just not able to understand the textbook. I just could not do math. People used to bang their head, try to get me to understand basic things, and I just couldn't, and they'd be so impatient because it's for them, they think I'm doing it purposely, but I genuinely could not understand. So I grew up in this whole, basically this feeling of a complete, total, utter not even worthy of existing. Why? Because in India and many Asian cultures, your self-worth and your value as a person is completely related to your academic performance. And when you're academically extremely slow, you're failing or barely passing, you basically have zero value. And people make it amply evident to you also. So I was a remedial student, but this was the first experience I had where I understood the gravity of being a remedial student. So I was exiting my classroom. It was lunch break. I was in third grade, 8 years old, Navy public school. And as I was exiting, there was a senior, a girl, who came very excited to come and hang out with me during lunch break. So she was so excited, her eyes were so big, her smile was so big, her energy was so big. She had a bounce in her step, so excited for the fun recess that we're going to have together. And I told her, I'm sorry, I can't come with you because I have to go for remedials. I have to go for remedial classes. She heard this, I saw as though it was like a movie frame that was completely slowed down. I saw every muscle in her face that was so bright, every muscle began to crumple down into this image of pure disgust on her face. It was a complete rejection of the moment, rejection of me essentially, and this pure disgust. And she bounced out of there, ran back downstairs. As she was running back downstairs, I saw that expression of disgust on her face did not change. It was still there. in that moment, as I was watching all that happening, I was feeling this complete crumpling sensation on the inside, like my stomach was being squeezed, my esophagus was being squeezed, and I was basically being squeezed down from a human down to a mouse. This feeling is very painful. This feeling has a name. It's called shame. Generally, in our cultures, shame is the way people teach something to others. So if you feel shame, you'll not repeat those behaviors or you'll try to do better. But shame doesn't help in the long run. It's a very self-corroding emotion. So that shrinking down kind of stayed permanent in me for a long time, because I learned in that moment when she jumped and rejected me so disgustedly for me being a remedial student, is that in that moment I learned that firstly I was disgusting. Secondly, I was not good enough. I was not lovable. I was non-existent because of how low my status is in the eyes of my peers. And I also learned that I was misunderstood, because instead of seeing all the good that is in me, I was completely only tagged for the one or two, let's say, issues that I had. So it's misunderstood. So from the one experience, I learned so many things about myself, which then as I grew up as an adult, it matched me with a lot of conflicts and relationships where I was the victim and they were bigger than me, or they had the power to sway me in any direction because my safety was completely in their hands. So if they approved of me, I was safe and happy. If they did not approve of me, I was completely shattered. So my safety was in their hands. And so when your safety is in someone else's hands, you're going to be dominated, you're going to be misunderstood, conflicts, attacked, hated, judged. And I went through thousands of experiences like that to want to just not exist on this planet. It was so hard because no one was seeing the actual good inside of me, the actual beauty. It was just me matching up to, I'm not lovable, I'm not good, I'm not whatever. Now, how do you shift all of this? So one of the things, there are many things that I did in my journey of healing, and I'm going to be teaching you guys, those of you joining our 5-day relationship program on 24th to 28th. I'll be teaching you all of these things that I have done to create incredible relationships, incredible, beautiful relationships and harmony in my life. I'm going to show you the whole A to Z in that program. So if you haven't registered, register below. But of many of those things, one of the major things I did was this thing called inner child healing. Now, what did I do is I went back into, let's say, that memory. I've done this with many memories. And I go and I sit next to that child who is now shrunk down, feeling like a total cockroach in the room. I go and I hug her and I teach her a completely different perception of that experience. I teach her how she's actually brilliant, how this is not a reflection of her. I teach her to forgive that other girl as to that was her conditioning, that's what she knew, that's not her soul, it's just what she had learned. To let her go and to forgive her. And I showed my inner child, hey, you know, there's so many things you've done in your life that is actually brilliant. And education, in case you did not know, some of us don't learn from textbooks and blackboards. We learn through different modalities. When the internet came, when there's music, videos, I was able to learn to the point where I became head girl of my school. I was backbencher failing to head girl of my school after the internet came. That shows how the brilliance of a child, every child is brilliant in its own way. But the system doesn't know that. The system teaches with textbooks and the white blackboard, so the child then begins to think that they are completely dumb and stupid forever. And when you think you're dumb and stupid, you'll act like that also. People will treat you like that also. So I taught her, no, she's absolutely brilliant, she's a beautiful soul, she's here for a purpose, and she's actually really good educationally, and it just was the system's methods were not the right methods for her. That's it. To forgive the system, to forgive the people, and to see her brilliance. In that, the self-concept changed. By the way, if you want to know the whole inner child healing process, I made a guided meditation. I put that in my academy, so you can go check that out in the description. It's not expensive, it's barely anything. You'll have it, the change in your like under your pillow, so it's not a problem to afford that. It's very cheap, but you can get that and then you can do the whole process within yourself to heal your inner child. Now, when that child was healed, she saw that she was brilliant. She saw that she was lovable. She saw that she is a beautiful soul. She saw that she is a wonderful person. She saw the compassion in her heart. Now, when you're in that vibration, what you attract is totally different. Who you attract and what you attract from each person is very different. You're in a value space. Value attracts more valuable behavior. Feeling like crap attracts more behavior that makes you feel like crap. So that is how a huge part of your relational healing is actually you healing your childhood wounding and stories. So I've done this with so many memories, and that's affected my life in so many beautiful ways. And so that is one way that you can also start. Go back to those memories. Go back and teach that kid something different to help her or him see that she's not what she thinks or he thinks he is, and that she's safe, he's safe. Yeah, there's brilliance in you, there is guidance, there's support, there's a lot of beauty, there's love for that kid. When the kid starts feeling loved because you are there to love it, you as an adult start feeling lovable and loved. And as an adult who feels lovable attracts a lot of love in their life. I was someone who could never attract the kind of love I wanted to someone who's deeply, deeply loved by so many beautiful people. That came from me having to redo so many of my inner childhood stories, but it makes a huge difference in the relationships you attract and what you attract from your current relationships. But again, this is not a sob story. Don't look back in your childhood and think of yourself as a victim of other people. Other people are just teachers, they're just your gurus. This is your opportunity to rise above those opinions and to find your own beauty and divinity. So then you match up with better people. So that, or better behavior from the same people. If that was a value for you, let me know in the description, in the chat. And of course, in the description, I'm giving you the link for you to check out the relationship course. Now, I'm not putting a buy link there. I'm putting a quiz. You can take the quiz to see whether your relationship needs. Now, this not just your marriage, not just your romantic relationships. I'm talking about all relationships with your parents, your friends, your family, your colleagues. If any of your relationships need a makeover, go through that quiz, see if this is right for you, and then you can jump into this program. It's happening 24th to 28th June. This one and only time we're doing it, because after this we'll have Healy Fest and those kind of programs. So if you miss this one, you miss this one. But in this one, I'm giving you the full A to Z of everything I've learned in my journey, from mindfulness to law of attraction to inner shift to inner child to healing to all kinds of amazing things. It's not just the stuff you've learned in my programs before. There's a lot of stuff I've never shared before. Probably 90% of this course I've never shared before. So don't miss it because you're thinking it's like my other courses, you've learned everything. No, there's a lot of new stuff, especially for people in relationships, but this can be applied to any relationship. So I love you. I look forward to seeing you in another video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was of value for you, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.